Hello, and welcome to the Nonprofit World on Nutmeg TV, where we highlight organizations and individuals passionate about empowering people to make a difference in the lives of others, serving in our community and around the world. I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean, guest host for today's program. And today we're going to meet someone who leads an organization that brings health, hope, and healing to and through the healthcare community, providing transforming love locally and internationally. Let me introduce to you Vinton Forbes, Executive Director of FaithCare. Welcome to the show, Vinton.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for having me here today.
You're welcome. It's nice to have you here. It's nice to see you. Vinton, the mission statement that I just mentioned here is kind of in three parts. You talk about health, hope, and healing.
Yes.
To and through the healthcare community, and providing transforming love. Could you talk a little bit about the three of those?
Sure.
Pieces?
The first component, providing transforming love, to and through the healthcare community. We're speaking about individual faith. How do we empower those in the healthcare field, particularly to live out the gospel? It's not about preaching the gospel, it's about living the gospel. It's about love. How do we love ourselves and love our fellow man? We speak about the community. So the second component is really about extending ourselves to the greater community. Once we have ourselves in check, we know who we are, that we are called to love our brothers and our sisters and love ourselves, and then we want to extend that to the greater community, the people that we see each and every day. So we do those through wellness event. And let me just back up. For the first part, we actually do chapter meetings for individuals to come together and just to encourage each other. So we meet on a monthly basis for the individual faith. And then we do the community outreach project here locally within the U.S. and also through Pennsylvania, some of the chapters that we have. And then the third part is the transforming love locally and internationally, that we extend ourselves for those that we may not see over the waters, the thousands of miles in Haiti, Dominican Republic, to Jamaica, and to Nigeria. And so those are the three pieces: the individual faith, community outreach, and then international missions. That's
wonderful. So you're not just helping or bringing volunteers in to help other people, you're actually helping those volunteers as well.
Yeah, you can imagine, particularly in the climate that we're in right now and a lot of confusion around the Affordable Care Act and different health issues, there are times when individuals may not understand or really don't know how to handle or cope with some of the decisions that they may have to make on the job, be it a nurse or a CNA or other aides that's in the hospital. And they question, how does this play out with my faith, with my faith walk? And so it's a venue for those individuals to come together and just ask questions, and we bring in professionals to answer those questions. Or it's also a breathing ground where we can solve some issues. For FaithCare, we typically focus on the preventive healthcare side, so through diabetes checkup, blood pressure testing, looking at cardiovascular disease. And a couple years ago, one of the nurses was saying, it's great what you're doing for the preventive health side, but some of our patients wondering what can you do on the dental side. And saying that our focus was around diabetes, the cardiovascular disease. We said, well, that's not our focus, but let's partner with someone that could address those issues as well. And that came out of our chapter meeting because of a concern that others had about dental care for a particular clientele that they were working with.
That's great. That's great. Tell us, Vinton, a little bit about the history of FaithCare, how it got started, sure. Maybe who the founding members are, and where it actually got started.
Sure. FaithCare was birthed, pun intended, at St. Francis Hospital. Dr. Peter Snatch was doing his residency, and he was one of those individuals that was curious about how does his faith integrate with the healthcare system. And at that time, it wasn't common common for residents because of their schedule to really interact and have time to talk about their faith and how it applied in the healthcare system. And so Peter was curious about that, and then one night another resident came up to him and they were talking about that. And so Peter, Dr. Jan Rangu, and Dr. David Hall were some of the founding members that really wanted a venue, again, for individuals to come together, kind of like a Bible study type of atmosphere, to fellowship and to talk about how to integrate their faith into the healthcare system. So it was in Hartford over 24 years ago, 1994, FaithCare was established.
That's wonderful. That's great. So FaithCare, as we talked about before, some of the things that you do are locally and some, of course, are internationally. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do locally in the community?
Yes. Locally, we do preventive healthcare service that takes on the form of wellness events or health fairs. When I came on 5 years ago, we were doing about 4 or 5 wellness events, and really was trying to expand that. So we partnered with more churches and community organizations. So now we're doing about 15. So it could be a church or a community organization that have been doing a community event, but they never had a health component to it. So you can think of like a celebration for a church picnic or outing or church anniversary celebration, or the Boys and Girls Club that had some type of community event, but they didn't have a health fair component. So we come alongside them and provide the health screening for, again, for high blood pressure, cholesterol, and diabetes.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And about your international trips, tell me about where you go and what you do on those international trips.
Sure. I've had the pleasure to go on about 5 trips now since I've been on board as executive director, and we have traveled to the Dominican Republic, to Haiti, to Nigeria, and to Jamaica. On those trips, it's typically a group of about 15 to 20 individuals. It's all volunteer. They pay their own way to get there. We see a patient from probably starting around 8 o'clock in the morning until probably 5 o'clock in the evening, sometimes longer than that, depending on who the team leader is and how you know, we're working and based on the crowd. The crowd size on a 1-week trip, which was typically your Haiti trip or Dominican Republic or Jamaica, will be about a week or so. And we typically see somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 people in a week. When we go to Nigeria, because of the distance, it's usually a week and a half to 2 weeks long. And for those trips, we can see anywhere between 7,000 to 9,000 individuals. And we go run the gamut. It's basically like a mobile MASH unit, if you recall MASH, that we just set up wherever the need is and wherever we can find space. Sometimes we do have the good fortune to have a physical clinic that will operate it, but sometimes it's just an open space, maybe a church, open lot or things like that. And so we'll do, based on the composition of the team, so we could do OBGYN surgery, general surgery, eye care, dental, vision. We run a pharmacy, we run lab for exams. And then we also do, with our international partners, different churches that are sponsoring us that will do the spiritual counseling as well. And so over the last 24 years, we have seen over in excess of 185,000 patients. We've prayed with over 160 patients, and over 10,000 individuals have made decisions for the Lord.
That's wonderful. I have seen pictures of both from Haiti and Nigeria when the teams were there doing their work. And there would be lines and lines and lines of people. Can you speak a little bit about that and what happens in that line while they're standing there waiting?
Sure. I was blessed and fortunate to the trip last year to Nigeria in the summer to be the one that was actually distributing the cards for individuals attending the the mission trip and the clinic, we distribute cards just to manage and have some type of order that individual could come in and receive care. And so you have a line, hundreds of people each, maybe every hour or so that's coming in and getting service and then probably going home. So again, each day we may see between 600 to 700 individuals. And so we distribute cards, then we do some triaging. They go to general consultation to find out what's wrong with them. Then we can send them to a specialist. And so it could be an eye, going to the eye lab, going to dental care. If there's surgery needs, we'll send them down to be reviewed by a specialist and then to set up a time for them to have surgery done. Then there's sometimes an individual just healthy and we just do some educational, health educational program for them. We see a ton of children. I enjoy that, having the opportunity to play with children and just to love on them, like our mission said, to show God's transforming love. And so we just see the gamut, from infants that mom just had maybe a week or so ago that's coming for prenatal care and checkup, to grandma and grandpa that's coming and just want to make sure that everything is well. So from the babies to grandma and grandpas, we see everyone.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You have an international capital campaign going on to restore health for today and build hope for tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's for both Haiti and Nigeria.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, what you're doing, the purpose of it, and what your goal is.
Sure. The Build Health for Today really speak about the immediate need, that individuals that we see are in desperate need for health care. And then restoring hope for tomorrow. Many individuals that we come into contact with just feel hopeless, that there's, their condition is what it is and that there's no escape, that there's no healing, there's no recovery from it. And so we just want to speak to that you can have that abundant life. You can have a productive life from this situation, that wherever we find them in. And so what I've seen over the 5 years that I'm there, and again, from being there, Paula, that again, I stated about 185,000 people that we've treated over the last 24 years, is that most of those individuals, if not all, do not have a medical home like we have here in the United States. So they're not getting follow-up care after we go into those countries to provide services. So the intention for this capital campaign is really to provide those community with a medical home that they can buy into, that they can be part of, that they can get the care that they need each and every day to live out that productive life. So in Nigeria, we're looking to build a clinic in Abuja. In Haiti is Savoy Carré, is strategically placed about 45 minutes from the Dominican border. So even though we're in Haiti, we can also service individuals in the DR when we go down on that trip. So right now we're looking to raise over $1 million over a 5-year period to build the hospital in Haiti and also the clinic, which will eventually turn into a hospital in Nigeria, Africa.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
That's a grand project to be working on. That's great. So where do your volunteers come from?
Yeah, they come from all over. They come from, throughout the U.S. and even sometimes internationally. Locally, when we are speaking about the community outreach project, the wellness events, most of our nurses, our nursing students come from Central, from UConn, from St. Joseph. We have individuals who are nurse or lay leaders within the congregation, so churches will provide volunteers for us. We have, different community organizations that will volunteer for us. And then internationally, I spoke internationally, statewide, we have a very active chapter in Pennsylvania. And so a large group will come. That's where Peter is now, one of our founders and chairman of our board. And so he's very engaged in that community and will recruit a lot of volunteers to come on the trips that he's on. And then even sometimes we have a chapter also in Nigeria. And some of our Nigerian chapter members have also come on an international mission trip. So some of them have gone to Haiti with us and done other trips here within the United States as well. So people are coming from all over the world, literally, to volunteer and help us to fulfill our mission.
So, Vinton, you had an opportunity to interact with people both in Haiti and Nigeria because you have been on both of those trips. What is your lasting impression of the people in those two countries?
Well, thank you for asking that, because I think a lot of people, particularly in the U.S. and just, you know, developed countries, have a misconception about third world countries. And what I found was that they are very hardworking, that they are very passionate, they're very appreciative for the care that we gave and provided. Yes, you know, there is poverty there, but the thing that I enjoyed and was left on my heart was about their creativity. Even though that they may not be a lot of work in like a factory or corporate sector, I saw so many people that were entrepreneur. So whatever resources that they had in their community, they used that as a means to provide for their family. And we saw people that had to make tough choices as far as getting care from themselves or their child or elderly parent, and they would choose to go to work. They'll drop off their child or the elderly family member early in the morning, go to work because jobs are so scarce, they didn't want to lose their job, and then come back at the end of the day for that child or elderly parent. So they're very hardworking, like I said, very passionate, very determined, and very creative.
You mentioned earlier that volunteers that go on the trip actually pay their own way for the trip. How are your other funds? How do you gather other funds for the organization?
Sure. Our major funds comes from just general private donors who go to our website or write us a check. We also have an annual fundraiser, our annual banquet and conference that take place in November each year. Those are our two basically major fundraisers that we have through private donation in our banquet and conference.
Okay. You talked about one community wellness event, or I actually saw it on your website, called Inside Out. Can you tell us a little bit about that one, or
Sure.
is that an annual event that comes up?
Yeah, the Inside Out is actually with collaboration with the Shiloh Baptist Church in Hartford. That's their initiative that they do each year to really transform their community. So instead of having your typical worship service inside of your sanctuary, inside of your chapel, your worship center, they bring it outside. So they have service outside, and then FaithCare comes along with other community providers to provide educational information or on-the-spot treatment and screening. And so that's just one example of some of our community partners that we collaborate with to provide wellness events throughout the year locally.
Okay. All right. What would you like to share with us that would invite or encourage others to get involved with FaithCare?
Sure. If you're watching and listening to our program today, I would just ask you to pray and to consider the gifts that you have been blessed with, the skills and talents. It could be administrative. You know, we've been talking about the nurses, but there are a lot of other things that could be done. Whatever your passion is for the less fortunate, it could just be holding someone's hand that is going through a hard time. We need individuals that have administrative skills. We need volunteers here locally that could help us pack for our mission trips in our warehouse, answering the phones. So whatever it is, that skills that you have that you want to use for the betterment of our community and our world, we'll ask you to consider contacting us on our phone line at 860-904-2870, or also on our website at faithcare.net. That's faithcare.net, to think about how you can be engaged and use your gifts and talent to bless the least fortunate of our community members.
Okay, great, Ben. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And I appreciate your being here with us today. Thank you for watching. And this is Paula Sorrells-Bean from the Nonprofit World, encouraging you to find your passion and make a difference in someone's life today. Hello, and welcome to the Nonprofit World where we highlight organizations and individuals passionate about empowering people to make a difference in the lives of others, serving in our community and around the world. I'm Paula Sorrells-Bean, guest host for today's program. And I want to introduce to you today a father and son who have started an organization called Levo International. And their names are Bill Hayden to my left and his son Christian. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
So glad to have you here with us today. And Christian, so nice to meet you and to know that there's a young entrepreneur out there that is has created something, developed something, designed something, and is doing something with it. So I want you to tell us a little bit about that today, how you came up with this idea and what you're doing with it.
So it all started actually when I was in 6th grade at St. Mary's School in Simsbury. My 6th grade teacher brought in his son, who gave us a presentation on his trip to Ghana and the work he did in an orphanage. And it was actually that moment where I decided that I wanted to work in the future in the developing world in places like Ghana. And so when it came to do my Eagle Scout project, I was looking for something that I could do in those areas and something that would be a bigger scale. And so I ended up walking into the backyard of my Scoutmaster, Brad Mead, from Troop 175, and he had this hydroponic greenhouse in his backyard, and it was this, and he explained the benefits of the system, and he went into where he built it, which is actually the Dominican Republic. And that's the same island as Haiti. And so at that point, I realized that this is something new, and this is something that people aren't doing, and I'm going to give it a go. And so we ended up, I started doing research, I started reaching out to organizations, and you know, kind of here we are now.
Great. Great. Christian, can you tell us, describe the design of the hydroponic system?
So, I'm sorry.
That's right.
So we have a couple different designs. Our demonstration greenhouse, which we built in Haiti in Pion, we built it made out of PVC hoops, and it was a 28-foot long greenhouse. And we moved on from that. We're no longer building those because we designed, after that demonstration greenhouse, a new unit, a shade house. And we scaled down the model, and it's now made out of steel piping, which is relatively inexpensive and easy to ship and build out of. And it's designed for a plot, a family plot or yard, where you can put it anywhere in Haiti or anywhere in the developing world.
Great. So who is your target population? Who is going to be using this hydroponic system?
So Levo is not limited to Haiti. We are a organization that is encouraging or is working on sustainable farming and sustainable economic growth in all over the world is our goal. So it could be in the developing world, but that doesn't mean that we're not also looking to work in America, in the inner city or anywhere like that. Our main goal is sustainable and economic growth.
Okay. Right. Is there a particular reason why you chose the location that you did? Did you say?
It's called Pion.
Pion. Okay.
It's so. Yes, Pion is a fantastic location. It is in a rural part in the northern plateau region of Haiti. It is more temperate than the rest of the country due to its elevation, and it's rural, which means that it has less people in it, and therefore we can get to the community easier, and the community will know about us easier. The organization we partnered with, Many Hands for Haiti, we actually got partnered with for good fortune. When I was looking for organizations that we could partner with for the demonstration greenhouse, we happened to reach out to Many Hands, and they got on board. They are fantastic, and they provide the contacts with the community and the support we need to work in that region.
And they have a mission that aligns with ours in terms of the approach is development as opposed to simply giving aid. Aid is definitely needed, but if you focus only on giving aid, you don't make sustainable progress. And so their mission is much more focused on sustainability, as is ours.
That's great. It makes a difference, doesn't it? To go in, it's kind of like you can give a man a fish, or you can teach him to fish, and it sounds like what you're doing is teaching them to be self-sufficient and to have a sustainable program there. So, was your project well received in the area when you went in with it?
It was. So not only was Many Hands very on board, their community members that we worked with were ecstatic, and they thought that it was a fantastic idea, and they were all on board to try to make it work in the communities. And so we've trained, half a dozen Haitian people, and they're the ones doing the growing in Haiti. So we had a lot of ecstatic people on board.
Great. Do you have a success story to share with us?
It's a little bit early to pat ourselves on the back about success in that way. What we've done is Christian had a concept, and we have proven that concept to work. We know that it can work. Christian mentioned that the training, right now we have a field scientist who happens to be his older brother in Haiti, working on measurement protocols and developing further our training process, and we're essentially using Many Hands campus as our first training facility. So we'll bring folks in and get them trained, and then move them out back into the community with the hydroponic units. So it's a little early to point to great success stories, but we've seen some great results early on, and now what we're doing is we're in the process of making that something that is repeatable and sustainable. So we've seen some nice harvests. Now we're working on having repeated harvests and have that distributed through the community.
And what are you harvesting? What are they growing in the hydroponic system?
So hydroponics, anything that has a root system you can grow in. Currently what we're growing is tomatoes and peppers, because they're simple and they produce in large quantities. And you can grow a far variety, but for now we don't want to scale out like that.
Hydroponics can grow anything that's not a root vegetable. It can't grow a potato or something like that, and you probably wouldn't try to grow sort of the staple crops like wheat or rice or what have you in them, because the sort of the scale that you need. But any of the bush plants, things like that, they work really well. Okay,
tell me what the benefit is to the people there.
So as we said, we can't pat ourselves on the back too early, but the benefits that we see and that we know are hydroponics uses a far less amount of water than traditional farming. So done correctly, and we know that it can save up to 90% of the water that traditional farming uses.
Which is really important because 70% of global water use is traditional agriculture, or is used by agriculture. So if we can reduce 70% of our water use by 90%, that would be a dramatic change when you hear about sort of global water shortages, as Cape Town is in danger of running out of water right now in South Africa. So as we hear that more and more, that benefit shouldn't get lost in the process.
And so in addition to water, it uses less space. So we're working on tomato plants, but if you grew the same amount of tomato plants you grew in a hydroponic system, you need a far larger plot of land. As it is, we grow 16 tomato plants or pepper plants in a 5x2 system. So in addition to space, it uses far less fertilizer because rain, if you fertilize crops, rain will wash the fertilizer away. That doesn't happen in hydroponics. And then these systems that we've designed, you can put anywhere. So most farming, if you're on a rocky mountain, you can't grow anything on a rocky mountain, but you can grow hydroponics because all you need to do is set up a system, and it doesn't have to do with the soil at all.
It's up off the ground, and you can and it's possible if you hear the term vertical farming in this country in particular, that's referring to hydroponics, and oftentimes it's indoor. And what they're saying is in a city building, you could keep going up as high as you want. So the reason that our systems fit in 5x2 is that they're not spread out this way. They're staggered at a 45-degree angle, so the plants grow up and over.
Okay. And can you put systems side by side, or to have more in one area? Is that how you would grow it in a particular area? Yeah,
I mean the design of these is so that you have maximum flexibility at the family level, but they're stackable. You can put them. Right now we have 3 side by side as our training facility. So the systems can work just fine, and they're scalable. So it's a distributed model, meaning that we want to be able to have individuals control. That's back to that sort of developing the individual and their capacity to help themselves. But it also means that you can scale it more readily. If there's a problem, that you can avoid that space, that those individuals, and focus on where things are getting results.
Okay.
Another thing we're discovering is that hydroponics is done on large scales. Unless it's a backyard hydroponic system, if it's done industrially, it's on a large scale. That is effective to growing a large amount, but it also leads to massive famine or massive failure of crop. If you break it down to a family by family basis, that's not a problem. So we're trying to avoid the big risks that would come with a large-scale hydroponic system.
Yeah, and also you reduce the startup. Sort of industrial scale hydroponics has a barrier to entry in terms of cost. The distributed model that we're using keeps the cost down on a per unit basis at the startup, so you need the resources to have the next small scale. You don't need to invest in 5,000 acres worth of it. You can 10 square feet by 10 square feet.
Okay, all right. Do you have a monitoring and evaluation process in place?
So that's actually where we kind of are right now. Our field scientist has been down there since January, and he's in the process of setting up and training so we can set up those monitoring and evaluation
measurement
methods, measurement protocols and things like that. We expect that those will be in place by the end of this year, and we can start moving on from there.
Okay.
In addition to our field scientists, we're sending a consulting chemist down this week, actually, to work with him to enhance those measurement protocols.
How many staff or how many people do you have in Haiti right now working on your project on the hydroponics system?
So right now we have our field scientist, and we will have this week for a couple of weeks we'll have a chemist working with him. And then we're borrowing 2 staffers from Many Hands for Haiti. We have a dedicated agronomist who will be doing nothing but hydroponics, and then we also have an American on their staff who's responsible for managing communication. Over a distance, the language can be a challenge, so we want to have an American on full time that we can have as a resource, and so we're borrowing 2 of their employees to round out our team for the time being.
Do you have any Haitian people on your staff?
So the agronomist is
Haitian.
He's a Haitian.
That's
Yeah.
He's from the community that we're working in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's brilliant. He has a high school degree in Haiti, but you can tell if he were given the opportunities, he would be a PhD chemist himself. He's a brilliant guy and very very attentive to the details. So we're very happy to have him on board.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How is communication with the Haitian people? I know they speak mostly French and Creole there, and most of us are English speaking, and some of us don't have other languages under our belt. But
so French is really only a government language. They teach it in school, but few people in the community are going to speak French. They are going to mostly speak French Creole, and my French Creole is not terribly good. But we are well equipped through Many Hands again with translation. So not only do the staff have, but they'll hire out local folks that can translate for us if we need that. So
it's a real blessing then to have that partnership with Many Hands.
Yeah, and it's a core to the model. We're not looking to be just one more agency that does work there, right? We're developing relationships with organizations like Many Hands that have established some degree of success and some connection to the community where we can just simply enhance the things that they're offering to folks. So if they're giving aid, now we can give them aid and development help. So that partnership is crucial to being successful.
Will you be looking to hire additional people to help with this project, either here from the United States or in Haiti?
Yeah, right. So we want to be careful to not get out in front of ourselves. We want to continue. We want to make sure that what we're doing is sustainable at an organizational level. So we wouldn't be anxious to expand too quickly. But it's becoming readily apparent that we're going to need more than just volunteers to make this work on a long-term basis. It needs several people on a full-time basis. Probably some folks here in the States and some folks down in country, and it really will depend on how much how quickly things grow on how much staff grows. It would match those things, obviously. Fair.
Do you have a goal or a plan to reach out to other countries besides Haiti after you get understanding that you need time to make sure this is sustainable? But at that point, do you hope to reach out?
Most certainly. I mean, this is Haiti. We're working in Haiti, and we don't plan on leaving Haiti anytime soon. But Haiti also, we hope to be our model. We hope to take what we've done in Haiti and reach out to organizations all around the globe and kind of offer our partnership and offer our experience in hydroponics. We hope this to be a global uplift organization. So.
We know it's been attempted. Christian was in conversation with a group that's looking at trying to establish some kind of technology transfer around hydroponics in Africa. We know that there's some interest in Central America. So we think that there's a possibility over the long run to do more, and we'd be happy to work with folks wherever there's a need.
Is Many Hands for Haiti, are they in other locations as well, or do you?
So they are. That's an Iowa-based organization, and they have a couple of locations now in Pion, but they focus on that region. They have an approach that they refer to as an inch wide and a mile deep. So they really want to go strong in a community and make a real meaningful difference, and look to see that difference spread out by its own, sort of organically, as opposed to try to spread out too drastically and then not be as effective with the individuals.
Okay, and I asked that question thinking that if they were planning to go elsewhere, then that might be a good way for you to move on to another place as well. So how is your program funded?
So the funding model for us is based right now on individual donations. We have a couple of grants that are in the works that would be good accelerators. It wouldn't change what we do, but it might be able to change the speed with which we do them. That's sort of the starting point, but the core of our financing will be the production and sale of what we call patio greenhouses in this area. So if you like the idea of hydroponics, of knowing what you eat, of contributing to water saving agriculture in your backyard, we can provide that, and then proceeds from those sales go to support the work that we're doing in Haiti and other areas. So that's our core, and then there's a third step in Christian's vision, which is to utilize as we demonstrate the success. You would expect that individuals in the community that we work are going to want more of these, and that'll make up the possibility for microfinancing. Thank you. So we loan them we give them it on credit, and they pay back out of the produce that it produces over time. So, but that's a longer range opportunity. The core will be these patio greenhouses and the sale of those.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Do you have, or are you thinking about having an advisory board?
Yeah, yes, we actually are in the process of increasing the size of our advisory board. We currently have a board of directors, which we have pretty solidly built, and now we're bringing on more people. We
have about a dozen professionals, mostly leaders in small to mid-sized businesses, successful folks that have developed organizations over time. I mentioned the consulting chemist that we have. He's on our advisory board. He just retired from 3M and has 40 years of experience in water filtration and water chemistry. So we have done a pretty good job of reaching out. So there's about a dozen people on the advisory board now, and it'll probably be, we'd like to add another half a dozen to a dozen more to really round it out, to make sure that we have the right diversity of input.
And any particular qualifications that you're looking for in those new board members?
I would say that that we're looking for diverse experience. We have folks that have either agreed to be on the board or that have experience as operational managers. The chemist. We have folks that are experienced in communication. So any area of business is one of those things. What we're trying to do is make sure that we have the resources beyond our payroll, right? We want to have the expertise necessary, and we've got a really positive response from folks as we're talking to them now. So there's no specific shortage, but any area of expertise that's relevant in organizational management is helpful.
What type of advice would you have for someone who is looking to start up some kind of a project in Haiti, a non-governmental project?
Well, I would refer to Levo's model of partnership. I think that I would suggest that they would go and find an organization that aligns with their values and has the capability to help them kind of move that project and fulfill whatever that said project's goal is. There's a lot of organizations in Haiti. A lot of them are doing great work, and there's no shortage of people who would not want help. So I think that if you have a project that you think could make a sustainable change, there will be people that will be perfectly happy to partner with you.
Yeah, I do think that understanding what's been successful and trying to learn from them. We've found a lot of agencies are willing to share information back and forth. We can provide information. We can receive information, and I do think that one of the benefits of having that established organization to partner with is a degree of cultural sensitivity. Understanding the community that you're working in is important. You don't. I think that it allows you to set reasonable goals for what you can accomplish in a particular region in a particular time. So I think that I'd agree with that. I think that's probably the number one thing. There are plenty of agencies right now. I think that good ideas that can work. And I think the other thing I would add is patience. You need to have patience. This is in a developing world that's been disadvantaged for centuries. You're going to need to have some patience. You need drive. You can't be willing to sit back and wait for results to happen, but you have to be patient for the results.
Yeah. So how about volunteers? Do you need, or are you looking for volunteers from here as well as from Haiti to assist you, to get involved?
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that we have some positive response on is community groups, whether they're faith-based organizations or businesses that employee groups or community groups. If we can get groups together, we would really like to set up a situation for them where they can send a handful of folks down to Haiti, experience the culture, and help do the install. But we'd also need some folks in this country that can do work in terms of whether it be assembly or there's administrative work. There's a lot of different work that can be done in this country to support that. So there's a sort of a two-sided coin, and we're hoping to build more of that response, that community-based response. But yes, we absolutely need volunteers. That's good
to know. Bill, in particular, this question is for you. Do you feel like your field of expertise prepared you for what you're currently doing in Haiti?
Parenting? No. So yes, I think that the work that I've done over the years has prepared. It was good preparation for this work in many regards. At an operational level, at a strategic level, at a partnership building level, those are things that I bring into the equation. What I don't bring into the equation, and what Christian has quickly became an expert in, is the hydroponics themselves, right? The technical details. So the management is something that I feel comfortable in helping to facilitate. The technical element is not terribly complicated, but it's generally stuff that we leave to Christian and Nate and some of the other technical folks that are more competent than I am in that.
And so how did you come about? Did you do a lot of research on hydroponics? How did you gain your knowledge of how hydroponics work?
So yeah, I did a fair amount. I've done a fair amount of research. Hydroponics is not. It's not super complicated. I mean, the reason that we're so excited about it is that it's relatively easy to train a person in hydroponics, but it does take some technical knowledge to kind of do this on a larger scale. I've been researching and working on a manual that we can kind of give to people for them to understand better, and if they have problems, troubleshoot. But it does take, because problems happen, so we need to know all or as many of those problems as we can. I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing, in addition to learning how to run the systems.
But he is self-trained.
It's mostly self-trained, yeah.
Book learning, and I mean,
and
that's
Mr.
not fair.
Mr. Mead, Brad Mead, my scoutmaster, did a lot of training and did a lot of troubleshooting, especially in the earlier stages.
And you reached out to you've involved engineers and hydroponics,
I have.
Other hydroponic folks. So that's self-trained, maybe an overstatement.
Self-trained is probably an overstatement. A lot of the research I've done has been on my own, but I definitely, especially the operation of the systems, has been through other people.
And who is doing the training in Haiti?
So that's our field scientist.
The field scientist.
Nate. He's a recent college graduate with a biology degree, and he is doing. He's down there for 2 reasons. The first is to create measurement protocols to make sure that we can keep track of both the results and then improve results as we go along. And then the second thing, which is probably the most important learning that we had, is that Christian's mentioned that the technology and the operation isn't really complicated. So what it means is that the people are the critical component to it, and so we really want to make sure that the training is top notch, and you mentioned earlier the language. There's you might say something and they're very polite and they say yes. And then you walk away and they're not doing what we just thought we agreed to. So there's needs to be some on the ground training to make that happen.
Yeah. Okay. Bill, as a historian, do you have any knowledge of the history of Haiti?
Yeah, it's so Haiti is first of all, it's the second oldest republic in the Western Hemisphere, it earned its independence from France in 1804. So just 25 years after we got our independence. But interestingly enough, their experience because it was a slave revolt, because they were all people of African descent, most of the Western world refused to acknowledge them as an independent country. So the United States, for instance, didn't acknowledge Haiti as an independent country until 1862 in the middle of the Civil War. What that meant was they were effectively embargoed and they could not develop an economy. If we had been embargoed and not been able to produce an economy for the first 50 years of our existence, we would be in a much different situation than we are today. And so that the legacy of colonialism is one thing that I think we don't tend to appreciate here in this country as much as we probably should. Our role being the United States' role in creating the challenges that Haiti suffers from is generally it's generally overlooked. And so I think that I don't like to go too far. I don't like to go back and make people feel guilty about what ancestors did to ancestors. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But understanding the historical dynamics and how entrenched some of these challenges are and why those challenges are entrenched in the way that they are, I think is important. And it's critical if we're going to get around or through or over those barriers to understand that, which, circling back, is why one of the reasons why we are so intent on looking at individual empowerment, because that, we think, is probably the best way to get through sort of the entrenched systemic challenges that the country faces.
Seeing some of the benefits that you've already seen just in the area of Pion, do you have any idea if those people are reaching out and telling other people about the hydroponic system?
I would suspect that they are, but I would suspect that that's modest at this point. I do think that, transportation and communication is challenging. Yeah. So the area that we work is 80-ish miles away from Cap Haitian, and you might fly into Cap Haitian and drive those 80 miles in about 4 hours. So the spreading of information is going to be a little bit slower than it might be here. Cell service, things like that. So they tend to be fairly localized in the communication. And again, before we pat ourselves on our back too much. It's probably a little early for them to talk about the great results.
I mean, that's definitely true. At the same time, I gave a tour last time we were in Haiti, and there was a group of Haitians and Americans. It was from another organization in Pion, and several of the Haitians who were in the tour, who were in the tour that I was giving, were excited by the systems and also wanted them in their own backyards. So I think that if we continue to demonstrate success in these systems, we will have a lot of people in that, especially in that community, that will be interested in having their own hydroponics.
Very good, great. Just word of mouth is the best advertising. So I hope that hope you get a lot of that to get you going. So. Christian, would you like to just share with our audience how they can get in touch with you, or how they can find out more about your organization with an online link?
I definitely think our go-to to figure out more about Levo would be to go to our website, which is Levo, Levo international.org. That's definitely where you're going to get the most information. Then there's our phone number and our email are also on that website. But definitely, I would say if you're interested in what we're doing, go to our website and check us out, and get a little more information.
And will they see images or pictures of the hydroponic system and how it works?
Definitely. We have a gallery on there. We have pictures on the website of what the system looks like, where we are, what the community is like.
There's a blog that'll give updates from the field or other issues related to what's going on.
Yeah, keeping our followers and our people who are interested updated. So we regularly update our blog, and it's got if you want to know something about Levo, the website will have basically everything you need to know.
And we'll continue to keep it updated with more and more information as we go along.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I'm excited, Christian, with what you have developed, what you've created, and it's exciting for me to see a young entrepreneur taking an idea that he's had for quite some time and doing something with it. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of times we have ideas. A lot of us have ideas. They're great ideas, but we sit on them and don't do anything. So I'm very proud of you for moving forward and doing something to make a difference in the lives of people in Haiti, but also people in the United States to have that opportunity as well to be a part of that. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
And thank you both for being on the program this afternoon. And thank you for watching today. This is Paula Sorrells-Bean for the Nonprofit World, encouraging you to find your passion and to make a difference in someone's life today. Okay.
That was